So first topic is going to be any updates on build tool community outreach?
No news here.
None for me either.
Yeah, likewise, Sarah. I think there's going to be some opportunity for that at the LLVM conference coming up as well, where Bharathi has a talk. Do we want to add that Bharathi link to the community events on the agenda so we can point people towards your talk?
Sure, I can do that. To this, yeah, I can add that. I don't think the program is ready yet, but I can just give a link to the.
Okay.
As soon as that program is published, Bharathi, I think we'd love to tweet it out from the main account.
Okay.
And generally promote, yes.
Yeah. I should have a chance to catch up with a few of the OCI and container folks next week at KubeCon, though they have been very busy. A bunch of the work around signing and transparency just got approved to become an official IETF working group like 2 weeks ago or so. So they were busy getting that done, and now they're going to be busy actually running an IETF working group. But hopefully we can still get some of their attention.
Cool.
Awesome.
Chris, did you ever hear back from Major Hayden on RPMs?
No. Well, yes and no. Yes, he's available for asynchronous work. That's it. So we can ask him questions via Slack and see what he can help with. I imagine for him, given how much RPM rolling he does on a regular basis, right? Like this would be pretty simple for him, right? Like we just need to get on his radar.
If you want to start up a thread, if he's on on Slack and pull him in, that would be fantastic. Because I actually people vary wildly in their personalities and their feelings towards meetings, and I know of several people who are sort of critical to the effort, who like you could not drag into a meeting if their life depended on it, but are perfectly happy to communicate via other means.
Yeah, let me see if I can pull him in.
That'd be great.
So my assumption is we have code for him to bundle into an RPM already, right?
Well, we do have some of the stuff that we've done with patching LLVM.
Okay.
And it would be wonderful to have something that we could sort of package that up and publish a package of, because packaging is its own skill.
Oh yeah.
And so like being able to have something where we could set up our CI to build packages, and the good news is I know how to publish packages to places like Package Cloud. So then, or he may have a better place to publish for RPMs, so that we could basically get some stuff out there that people could install and play with would be great.
A slightly different idea or question. How close are we to having a tool that we could tell folks like, Major Hayden or others, if you add this tool to your CI pipeline, the output will be instrumented with gitbom? Right. If we were to publish a simple tool, whether it's based on BOM-SH or something else, that could just be added to GitHub pipeline, Jenkins pipeline. That's the kind of thing I think Major Hayden, Chris Lamb would jump on. Yeah,
I think that we are getting there with LLVM, Clang, and LLD. And I know that we're also making progress with GCC and bin utils. And I think
what do we have from the other end of the stack, I think is what I'm asking, because that's the very low level build. What about the put packages together side of it?
So I don't know that we have anyone actively working on putting packages together side of it. That may be a question to see if Major Hayden would be interested in looking at some of that from the RPM end, if that makes sense. Because I think ideally what you would love to have is something in the RPM where you've got an appropriate ADG field that you could go stick the right ref in, so that I could just pick up an RPM and pull its ADG out of it as metadata.
What I mean though,
For RPG Debian into the package, right? The good thing that you can do unbundling to unbundle them, and then you can at that time just generate ADD for that RPM or Debian package. So the bombs tool doing that to unbundle and then generate ADD for that RPM Debian package. So that's one way to, yeah, to work around that issue.
That's if I understood you correctly, that's post hoc scanning to unbundle the RPM and then
Yes.
inventory it. If you rebundle it up at that point and add an ADG field, you change the hash of the RPM.
Yeah. Yes.
Which breaks any of the mirrors. So you'd have to do it
Right.
before the build is published and signed.
Right. That's always possible. But now the bombs tool also work directly on the RPM creation and Debian creation to create the ADD on the fly. So both are supported right now.
Okay.
By the bombs tool.
Okay. So, which reminds me, we do have an open POX section in the agenda for folks to go add the some of these things too. Because it sounds like you have, there would be good things there to point to as well.
Cool. Anything else? Oh, sorry, Yang, go ahead.
No, I'm done. Just let you know that yeah, we have at least two approaches to make it work. Bombs already supported two methods for those packages.
Cool.
And in Cisco, actually, we have a good tool called the immediate unbundler. We can unbundle almost everything, all the images, all the formats, as long as it's some kind of archive or bundled format, we can unbundle everything. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Thanks.
Anything else on build language and build tool community outreach? All right. We got call for volunteers to help with social media. Bharathi, thank you for volunteering to post the meeting videos. I've seen them go up. Really appreciate that. Looks like there's a need for volunteers to help manage the Twitter account.
Sign me up.
All right.
Oh,
thank you.
Fantastic. I will ping you and we will get you all set up with credentials.
Cool.
Because I deeply appreciate the value of good social media. I'm not super great at it.
Well,
Same.
I'm supposedly good at it, is what I've been told.
That is epic. I have another open source community that I deal with that has some folks involved with it who are super good at social media, and it's a huge difference.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Chris.
No problem.
As for upcoming events and conferences, as mentioned, Bharathi, you've got that gitbom talk at the upcoming llvm conference.
Yes, Ed as well. Yeah. And Yang remotely, I think he'll attend remotely. Yeah.
Yep.
Cool.
I'm mostly going to see if I can I can cut the why you should care down to 90 seconds and see how that goes. Because the bulk of the interesting part for that audience, I think, is the work that Bharathi's done.
Cool.
Awesome.
Yeah. I have a few talks coming up where I'll probably mention it, but it's not a talk focused on gitbom, so I'm not mentioning the talk as a whole here. But I'm going to throw some CFPs out for the spring. So
Sweet.
Cool.
All right. Request for feedback on blog post. Let's take a look.
no changes from me here yet.
Okay. Have there been any changes to this since last time we discussed?
I don't think so.
All right. That's okay. Cool. Well, we will, I think, skip that then.
Yeah. Chris and I had done a bunch, and we both going to need to circle back. And we'll be at the same event next week and probably get to do that.
Woohoo!
Woohoo!
And I read that report from the OSSI, or whoever they are, and I've got a nice highlighted PDF. I have many ideas now.
Awesome.
What is the OSSI? I know the OSSI.
So go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, Ava.
No,
you know more than I do.
After you.
Okay, so the OSSI, let me open the report real quick so I can actually say it. the Open Source Software Security Initiative. This is from, or is in partnership with public-private sector, right? So there's like government employees involved from across all parts of the US government, like NIST, DHS, OMB, NSF, and then a lot of folks, I'm sure we know, are actually, you know, contributing their time to this project as well. And it points out specifically that SBOMs today are not good enough. They're not actionable enough, which is great for our cause. So it's super nice to have like, oh, we can have footnotes with references, you know.
I'm so delighted that excites you, because we need people who are excited by footnotes with references in the community.
There are a few other
yeah, there's been a
institutions that have or are about to publish similar things, all saying to the Fed, SBOMs are not enough. The use cases aren't well defined. They're big and clunky and just don't do what they're being sold as yet. So ironically, by us waiting on the blog post, we didn't get added to the noise. We get things to reference to make our point more clearly.
The Fed, I assume you're referring to the federal government and not the Federal Reserve?
Thank you. Yes, the federal government, CISA, NTIA, several groups like that.
So the Federal Reserve should not raise the rate on SBOMs. Don't raise the rate on SBOMs. We don't need that.
No, please don't tax SBOMs more.
So yeah. Like, it's all good. And I have seen through my like regular reading of internet things, right? There is a significant drumbeat happening now after this report coming out that SBOMs as they are today are not getting us there. So there's even more stuff out there to reference in terms of, you know.
I talk to all kinds of folks, and there's this sort of like stages of grief where people get excited about SBOMs, and then they start trying to build SBOMs, and then they start trying to consume SBOMs, and then there's this trough of suicidal tendencies.
Oh God,
homicidal too.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
Okay. All right. So banging the drum, inspired by Chris's Yule log in the background. Now I want to start singing Little Drummer Boy, but let's go ahead and move on to the next one. Do we want to cancel next week's meeting due to KubeCon?
Yes, please.
Yes.
Cool. I
will be on site busy in an interview during our meeting next week.
Awesome.
I'll be with you, won't I?
I believe so.
Yeah. Funny how that works.
Yeah. Speaking of upcoming GitBOM related media.
Oh, excellent. Yeah.
Sure.
Thank you, by the way, for speaking up for that, because I am that idiot who seems to think he can keep doing normal operations during a conference week, and future me is always angry at past me when that happens.
Yeah,
I can see that.
All right, cool. POCs recording gitoids, SHA-1, SHA-256.
I think that's Rossi.
Yes, so I just wanted to give a quick demo of what has been recorded in the spec PR, and hopefully we can accelerate the review of this in the next meeting after this demo. So let me share the screen.
Okay.
Okay. So just okay. So a simple example. Just wanted to show now we have. So you can see that we have SHA-1 and SHA-256 gitoid each as an entry in the node section, which is node.gitbom. So we have 2 entries, and the respective gitbom documents are in the subdirectory with the SHA type SHA-1 and SHA-256. This is what I think this part of the spec has been finalized and probably even approved on its part, persistence of dual gitoid. So the only addition was adding this line for in the document to signify what hash type it is, and also the creating a subdirectory for the hash type. So that is covered. Now the next is creating the executable. So if I do, so this is the final executable, and similarly we have a node.gitbom section for both SHA-1 and SHA-256 at this point. And let me just yeah, so this is the Gitbom document for the final executable. So again, we have both the SHA-1 and SHA-256 generated for this. So this is all. This is already been discussed. Now the only part of the spec that is not approved, or there's still discussion needed, is what should go into the node section. So now if you see, we only record the gitoid, right? So there were questions whether it should be URI or something else. My thinking is, if anything can be derived from just the hash, then it should only be the hash that needs to be recorded. And I think URI could be constructed once we know this hash. But if there are other thoughts and arguments to it, I think it will be good if we can bring that up in the next spec meeting. And once that is finalized, I can correct my implementation.
Yeah, and I think some of the thinking had been that from the point of view of a note section, having a type and an actual value, that's rather than having a string that you have to parse, is sort of more idiomatic to a notes elf section.
Yeah, so currently this is of, and also this is of type alloc. That was discussed last week. So that has also been mentioned in the spec, and I sent out a revised spec. So if I give, I think it will. Okay, the alloc part of it is probably here, but so basically just wanted to mention that, yeah, the type, it has a flag of type alloc. If this flag is present, then that means this information is going to be persisted in the final executable and runtime as well. So since that is the intent, the spec has been revised to just mention that whenever you create a node.gitbom section, if it is created, then the attributes that needs to be of type SHF_alloc. So
yep, and that's fantastic, because among other things, it means as we move forward, the binaries could essentially be reflective as to their gitoids. It also means as we move further down the chain, and there are folks looking to play fun games with things like dynamic loaders and that kind of stuff, you could also wind up with that being reflected as well.
yes, yeah. So this is all I had to share.
Awesome. Thank you, Bharathi. It's looking awesome.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let me just reshare the agenda. I can find the window. There we go. All right. Well, we are blowing through the agenda, so I think we can move on to Ed and Ava's special topic. Sounds very exciting.
Oh, cool. Excellent. So, so we've had a situation over time, and I think we've all experienced this, where the name gitbom kind of confuses people. So basically, we literally say on our website that we are neither git nor a bomb. And not only have we had some confusion with folks downstream, but we've had some folks attempting to spread FUD by sort of saying, oh yeah, but they're only git, which is sort of unhelpful. Additionally, in parallel, I've been reaching out through my social graph, trying to actually reach to the right folks in the Git community to talk to them about a number of things, you know, things like the gitoids and other stuff. And I did finally actually get in touch with them. And in the friendliest possible way, they actually asked if we could rename gitbom because they were concerned about it also causing confusion on their end. And I tend to think that generally the world works best by respect. And so I wanted to sort of generically kick off a discussion about what we might want to rename ourselves to on this. And I think I've got, we've got a few ideas we've brainstormed. We're certainly open to hearing some others, if that makes sense. Let me see if I can go pull them and copy and paste them in. Ava may be faster at this than I am.
Yep, I have them written right here. I will paste them into our chat. I'm sorry for having to drop off there for a bit. My heating maintenance company is on the way over. So if I do have to go very quickly, that'll be why I think I'll get to into this call before they get here.
Okay, I've moved them over into the meeting minutes, so they're part of what's being shared.
Oh, great.
So these were just like some of the things that came from some immediate brainstorming, and definitely more brains is better on this. Do you want to run through some of the some of the first ones here?
Yeah, so the ones that in no particular order, Ed and I came up with are OADG, which doesn't really have a good pronunciation. I looked, it's not a Gaelic word. Open Artifact Dependency Graph. Yggdra kind of evokes the symbolism of Yggdrasil, a tree of life. Artifact Dependency Graph Lambda. I've flipped the word around and used Y instead of the lambda symbol because it's hard to type. ARDBOR, where I'm choosing not to pronounce the D, where artifact dependency is made boring. Digger, dependency graph resolution, and adept graph, artifact dependency graphing, which kind of evokes the magic of adepts. So
awesome. Those
are some of our ideas. I think some of these could have really cute mascots.
Naming things is hard.
It is hard.
Yeah.
It's one of only two hard problems in computer science.
But supposedly I'm good at it, surprisingly.
That would be extraordinarily helpful.
These are all good. I like ARDBOR for some reason, just because it doesn't lock us in or pin us down to any particular piece of technology, right? Like it kind of opens up much more than just gitbom, right? Like, and you know, you can make nice stickers for that.
Yep.
I actually even have a logo hanging around that for something else I was doing that was tree-like that I'd commissioned that we could haul out and see if we like.
It's
nice.
A very extensible metaphor.
Yeah, and yeah, like I think this worked well because arbor and harbor go together, and you know all these other things, right? Like,
does that make all of us arborists?
Yes, we're pruning a very large tree so that it grows.
There you go.
Uh-huh.
Having had to just replace a tree in my front yard because life happens.
So Young Kui, you were so on brand right now in the chat. So
just remember, the shorter the domain name or GitHub org name, the less likely it is you're going to be able to acquire it.
Yes.
Yeah. So the ARD piece. So the reason there was the laughing is Young Kui has suggested in the chat, how about just ARD? And then commented, 3 letters can save us 4 bytes in the note gitbom section.
And we can have an aardvark as a mascot at that point, right? Like anything, like sky's the limit.
This is true. And the reason I was laughing on Kui is that you have been so good about keeping honest about note section size, which is an important thing for us to keep on. So it's so completely on brand for you.
Sure. Thanks.
Sometimes you laugh at people for being who they are because they delight you. Yeah, do folks have other sorts of thoughts on this?
I personally like Digger, but solely for the reason I think it's really cute. And I'm imagining a little critter digging for dependencies.
It's almost like you have,
or something. Yeah.
It's almost like you have proclivities towards burrowing pets.
I do. Yeah. For anyone who's watching the video doesn't know, I have pet bunnies who do they like to dig, including tunneling into my couch. But that's a story for another time.
Okay. Do other folks have thoughts or opinions?
I also like Digger. Because
Yeah, Digger's good too.
Yeah. Yeah.
The only thing I want to be cautious of with graph is, remember, GraphQL is a big thing right now. So like we need to make sure we use graph in the right context. And when I say right context, I mean the internet context, which isn't always the proper context.
Yeah. I think part of the some of the debates we had several months ago in the spec about using the word tree or graph will be a little bit more difficult to do at internet scale. Technically, yes, what we're doing is a graph, but it is a directed acyclic graph. And so it looks like a tree, and explaining that to people steps back into the domain of the same challenges we've had explaining why gitbom is neither git nor an sbom. And so calling it a tree is more evocative and simpler for sort of the cognitive friction we get. You know, I would love to reduce that when we talk about what is it that we're doing and why is this valuable and important. Anything we can do to make it easier for folks to go, oh, I get it. That's awesome. And I think trees evoke that better than than digging.
Well, and to a certain extent, the nice thing about the particularly ARDBOR is that it evokes trees, but it doesn't state them.
Yep. Yeah, we're not calling it a tree. And it also, if you are familiar with pruning trees, it also evokes the act of caring for a tree, making it have a well-defined shape and structure instead of just growing wild, which is the cognitive shift that I'm hoping to accomplish through this work in the ecosystem, that we have visible, well-maintainable trees, not the wild, overgrown lawn that used to be my front yard.
Yeah, having just pruned and managing not to mutilate actually my Japanese maples, I can see now I'm envisioning tracing down a pencil, you trace back to the parent branch to the other branch, and then I like the bonsai trees. Yep, I like the imagery there.
Cool.
So it also strikes me, and not that I'm advocating snark, nor was anybody necessarily on this call overly snarky, but it does lead to the available snark of pointing out that other approaches are just too interesting. Your SBOM is more interesting than we may need here, that kind of thing.
Your SBOM is slightly overgrown.
Oh,
needs a little pruning.
This is why
yes,
I'm not the professional snarker on the call.
This does open up some good nerd sniping possibilities. I like it.
Well, and sort of like, as I said, if we go with oh God!
Oh no!
This is bad.
I'm tweeting that. I'm sorry. I'm tweeting
there wasn't enough snark on the call. I had to add a little bit.
Thank you.
Well, and as I said, I actually have on hand, and maybe I can even find it and put it someplace where folks can see it. I have a tree-related logo that I commissioned for something that didn't actually end up happening, which means there's clean IP for it. That we could actually use for a tree-related so let me go ahead and share this really quick. But let's share it in a browser and not in preview where there's a bunch of other stuff going on. 1 second.
Hello, DPP's cattail. It's like a periscope there. Yay!
Okay, so the let me share this. Apologies for the previous domain for it, but you can get the idea with the tree. I mean, we could do something like that for the logo that would get us someplace nice to start. I'm not sure quite how it shrinks down yet. I'd have to go check that. But tree-related logos strike me as being very doable.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
Cool. Okay, so
seems like we have rough consensus there.
I think we have rough consensus. My general experience has been it's unreasonable and unfair to ask communities to make snap decisions. So I'm definitely feeling some consensus forming and some excitement. We may want to mull this over to the next meeting before we actually make an actual decision. Does that sound about right?
I'm okay
fine
with
going-
either making the decision now or waiting to the next meeting. I'm personally quite comfortable with Arbor.
Arbor.
I mean, I'm fine either way. My sensitivity is I have a very strong personality, and so I'm very oversensitive to running over people by mistake.
Oh, you're not. No, don't worry about that. I think you're fine there.
I dare to click a link.
It's safe.
It's safe. Very cute.
Needed that first.
It is not technically a DAG. It is cyclic. You can trace a path from the root node back to the root node.
Oh, so it's a graph.
It is a graph, not a directed acyclic graph.
Okay, you're correct. Thank you.
It's really cute though.
So here's what I would suggest. I'm perfectly fine, depending on whether for us to make a decision or not today or versus next time, as long as nobody's feeling pushed. Because that's my sensitivity is not pushing people by mistake.
Do you say nobody's feeling bushed?
Pushed.
God
damn
David.
It's gonna be like this, isn't it?
A good name gets good jokes. So I'm in favor, not pushing anybody, but I'm in favor of picking this one. It does seem like people seem to like it. If we don't move forward, if we wait until next meeting, that'll be 2 weeks, because we're going to skip next week.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely some work involved in transition and whatnot as well. So yeah, I will go ahead and make sure that I've grabbed the real estate. And I think I may have already just preemptively, but I'll make sure I really grab the real estate for ARDBOR. And the reason I mentioned that is that sometimes I've seen great confusion arise when multiple people are grabbing the real estate at the same time.
Yeah, Ed and I got